why don't you kind of walk us through regression channel lines, what they do, why you use them, and why they're your friends as well?
Well, especially with the indexes, they give you, I guess, an expectation. You know where it should be trading as it moves higher, and when it breaks above it, that can be a time where you got to be careful. And when it breaks below it, that can be a problem as well. And so, essentially, what we do on Thinkorswim, we'll start these regressions sometimes at the bottom, sometimes when the index will retake the 200-day or the 50-day, and then we
Sometimes it'll
go out.
follow through day. That's
Yeah,
another area that we've used.
yeah, follow through days, and then we'll go out 50 days and lock them in there, and that's something that Mike came up with, and it actually makes it a whole lot easier because we were often like, okay, we would look for when it retook the middle line after coming below it, um, and so it was it worked many times, but it also was something that, yeah, sometimes it didn't work all that great, but
Well, and
it's
it was
still,
also a little bit more subjective. So it was
yeah,
like, oh,
true.
let's use that one because the lines look better and not this one. So yeah, when you kind of, shut it off at 50 days, that does make it a little bit more uniform, I guess, in the application of the rules. And I should also, let's talk a little bit about why do you want to stop it at some point? Why do you want to have an endpoint to your regression channel line?
Well, you want to, w- well, it's not really an endpoint; it's a anchor point. Let's
Anchor point, right?
call it that. And so, yeah, the stock or index starts moving, and then you, after 50 days, you set it there, and often that gives you a really good channel to work with. So it started moving. It had earnings gapped up and then pulled into around the 21 day, and I got it. You know, 2 days after it started to reverse, and so I was sitting with it and having a great time. And but I still, you know, ha- had in my head that this should be a swing trade because it can really have some really nasty pullbacks. And so it was acting well and running up. And then that one day where it went above the red line right there. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching it, and then all of a sudden it reversed. And before, I think I sold it even before, maybe when it touched the high of the day before, I sold everything. And so I, made a good profit. And then over the next week or so, it came down to the bottom of the regression line. But it was kind of off of my radar at that point, and I completely missed the reversal there. And and the run up. I wish I hadn't, but um, s- eh, you know, that's just what happens sometimes. There's there's so many things going on, and you miss a turn. And so since then, it went above it again, and now has come below it. So it'll be interesting to see how it handles that, and is this really maybe the beginning of a new base, and it may go sideways for a while.
Mhm. Now, when something gets that far out of the trend, either on the upside or the downside, at what
Mhm.
point do you say, "Okay, this trend line isn't containing it anymore"?
Well, yeah, I think when you have something like that, that's probably might be a good time to at least think about tossing it. But if it comes down to the bottom line and then rebounds again, that means it's still working there, or at least could be working. But for me, if I had been holding that, and especially um, when it reversed, that's not the worst reversal off the top. but maybe the third day down, that was a big wide bar and all over the place. That's
Hmm.
where I probably would have hedged it had I still been holding it.
Hmm. Makes sense. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Now, GE Vernova, this one seemed a little steep and unsustainable, when it
Yeah.
first came out there. And I do have the arrow showing where you entered this.
Hmm.
And I believe that was May 8th, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Um, so this did spend a lot of time, not even coming up to that top line. But I guess
Right.
when you're that steep, maybe that's not as important, right?
Yeah, so it was acting really well, and it came, I guess in, is that June? It came down and tested, the bottom line, and then had on earnings gapped up again and was acting really well. And so then we started testing the green line again, and on that day, so you can see where it bobbed below it a few days and reversed. But on that day where the arrow is pointing, it undercut near the close the prior low. And so for me, that was like, okay, this is not working. I'm getting out. And since then, it's gone sideways. So it was a
Hmm.
good exit, and that's kind of the logic that I do. You know, if they reverse, I'll give them another day and see if they can hold it. And in this case, 2 days later, it lost it. And so that's why I got out of it there. Now, at this point, I think this regression is done.
Right.
And, maybe this will make a base. And when it breaks out, you might start a new regression on it. But it's still one I'm watching, but not real eager to get in right now because I think it needs to build a base and break out.
Yeah. And it's hard when there's so many things that are looking better and the relative strength line starts looking poor on something.
Hmm.
It's real easy for these to kind of drop off your radar because there's so many other shiny new things. Ciena, this is one that was kind of an interesting start here, and now it looks like this one is getting to the top of its channel line. But
Yeah,
you exited this earlier.
right. And
Um,
this one, again, because of the way the stock had never made a sustained move before, it had a pretty good move in the last half of 24. But yeah, so you can see that it had a long history of that was its best move. And a lot of times it would run up and then roll over, or stair step its way higher. So again, I entered this thinking, okay, this is going to be a swing trade for me.
mhm. And that entry, remind me again, was,
It was
oh, actually
on 512.
512. Okay, so we're back here.
Hmm.
So kind of coming out of this tight area here on Sienna. And
Oh, wait a minute. I gave you I was
oh, that
looking
was,
at the
I think
wrong
that was
chart.
the, okay. Yeah, that seemed like a kind of a strange place to
Yeah, I
enter.
know. I'm sorry about that.
You're better than that.
714. How's that?
Okay,
That's a
that's
better,
making more sense. Yeah, so that's coming out of this bounce off the 50-day moving average
yeah.
line. So
And
a
I
nice
love
flat
those.
base.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love those early entries and flat bases or
not
consolidation.
quite a flat base, 18% depth, so a little
Okay,
bit
so
deep.
close.
Hmm.
But yeah, when you get support at the 50-day and you're breaking a trend line within the base, that's often a really good entry.
Yeah, it was almost like a little mini cup with handle. And yeah, let's go ahead and go over to the regression, back to the regression channel line here, and you can talk a little bit about did this come into play for you on the regression channel line? Um, so here was your entry basically,
Right.
and you exited fairly early. It doesn't seem like it was doing anything wrong there. So what kind of
Well,
caused
but
the exit?
it was a close below the 21 day.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
so again, I was looking at this as a swing trade, and it lost the 21 day and was like, I'm out. And then it came down, got support at the bottom line. And I was looking at it and thinking, oh yeah, but earnings are coming up soon. And actually it would have been I mean, that reentry there would have been uh a really good spot, because that got support right at the 50-day, and then it ran up, gapped up on earnings, and has been running ever since. And now it's right there at the top of the
Hmm.
line. So let's say I had held it at this point, I'd be watching it. If it goes over the line and then loses that top red line, that's where I would hedge it.
Hmm. Makes sense. One more of some of your trades here that you've been using these lines on. This is Palantir. I do have a position in this. I think you rebought your position. Was it yesterday? Uh,
Yes.
yeah, and I think yeah, I bought it then too because we put it on Swing Trader, so I had to wait, the 30 minutes and all that. But you got a really nice entry here at 100, and
Mhm.
this one, you had a little bit of a move down underneath the regression channel line here, but where looks like you had already gotten out of this one. So what was going on there? Well, and I guess maybe a larger question here is when this really did fall out of the trend, which happened almost like in the same way that GEV did. It just obviously started really not following the regression channel lines anymore. So this
Oh,
still looks kind of interesting.
yeah.
Do you redraw those lines?
So I got in on 423, and it was acting pretty well. There was some, uh, volatile days, like where it gapped down,
The
but
earnings, yeah.
yeah. And, but again, it was, and, I'm going back to, uh, Palantir had a, fantastic run in late 24. Prior to that, how many times did you get shaken out of Palantir?
I've been shaken out more than I've been in.
Yeah.
So
So, so again, I was looking at this, uh, and also because of just the nature of the market, it just, you know, there have been very few markets that sell off, break the 200-day plunge, but then come right back up. Normally, when they have a sell off like that, there's, two or three attempts, and then it starts working. So I was always like, okay, I got to be careful with these things. And so when it undercut the 21-day on 6.5, that's where I got out. And so that's
Mhm.
that first arrow.
Right. So again, back to kind of like GEV, this kind of got out of the trend, but unlike GEV, that's still kind of languishing sideways. This showed some power,
Mhm.
tightened up a little bit. And again, both you and I, bought this yesterday. So do you redraw the lines, or how do you handle this now, or do you just start using different rules?
Well, I think at this point, even if you use the low, we don't have 50 days yet.
Hmm.
And if you use the breakout, well, it's going to be a lot longer than that.
Hmm.
So, like 2.5 months almost. So, at this point, I'm not really looking at it and using this channel any longer. I think we're going to have to wait for a new one to
Hmm.
appear.